All right, picture this. You're an elite agent. You've got a mission, and it's a big one. Get access to a top secret file on a super secure server. But here's the twist. You've got to navigate all these checkpoints without ever giving up your master password. Sounds like something out of a spy movie, right? Well, guess what? This is pretty much what your computer does every single time you log in. So let's gear up and dive into this incredible masterclass in digital security. Let's pull off the Kerberos Heist. So that's the big question, isn't it? How do you get into a locked vault without ever telling anyone the combination? I mean, think about it in computer terms. How do you prove who you are without just yelling your password across the network where literally anyone could be listening in? That's the exact problem Kerberos was built to solve, way back, like over 40 years ago. And the solution? It's this brilliant dance of trusted go-betweens and super secure cryptographic tickets. Okay, here's the plan of attack for our mission. We're going to cover secure access, then hit 3 checkpoints, getting the wristband, the golden ticket, and finally, getting access granted. After that, we'll look at the full blueprint of the operation and then wrap up with threats and defenses. Let's do this. All right, let's start the mission. It's called Secure Access. Our agent, let's just call him the user, needs to get a critical file from the high-security file server. That's the vault. The objective is clear. And the mission is a go. The user starts the process, which is basically them walking right up to the front door of this secure building. This is the first checkpoint. They've got their ID, sure, but they can't just flash it to anyone. They have to prove they're legit to the first guard at the gate. So, checkpoint 1, the wristband. This is all about getting past the authentication server, or AS for short. Think of the AS as that first security guard at the main entrance. Their entire job, their only job, is to look at you and say, okay, prove you are who you say you are. They're the gatekeeper to this whole secure area. So the user does their thing. They prove their identity to the AS. Now what's interesting is what happens next. The AS doesn't hand over the keys to the final vault. No way. Instead, it gives our agent something called a ticket granting ticket, a TGT. And the best way to think of this is like a high-tech encrypted wristband you'd get at a concert. It doesn't get you backstage, but it proves you paid to get in and you're allowed to be on the festival grounds. Now, this wristband isn't good forever. It's got a ticking clock on it. By default, usually it's about 10 hours. That's a setting you'd find in the Kerberos policy in Active Directory. And it makes total sense, right? It's a security feature. If someone managed to steal your wristband, you wouldn't want them to have access forever. This way, it's only useful for a short period of time. And here is a mission parameter that is absolutely non-negotiable. Everybody, synchronize your watches. I'm serious, Kerberos is obsessed with time. Your computer's clock and the server's clock have to be almost perfectly in sync. We're talking within about 5 minutes of each other. If you're off by more than that, the whole system just assumes something fishy is going on, maybe an old attack being replayed, and bam, access denied, mission over before it even starts. Okay, on to checkpoint 2, the golden ticket. Our agent made it past the front gate, they've got their wristband, they're inside. But they're not at the vault yet. Now they have to visit the ticket granting server, or TGS. So our user, armed with their wristband, that TGT, walks up to what is basically a ticket booth. They flash the wristband and say, hey, I need to get into the file server. The TGS gives the wristband a once-over, checks that it's real, correctly encrypted, and hasn't expired. Everything checks out. So the TGS is like, all right, you're cleared. Where to? And this is where the TGS hands over the service ticket. This is our golden ticket. See, unlike the wristband, which is for general access, this ticket is custom-made for one specific door. In our mission, that's the file server. And the coolest part? It's encrypted so that only the file server can actually read what's on it. It's completely useless to anyone else. And here we go, the final checkpoint, access granted. Our agent is at the vault door, the file server. Golden ticket in hand. This is it, the moment of truth. The user presents the golden ticket. The file server takes it, and using its own secret key, a key it only shares with the main Kerberos system, it decrypts the ticket. It checks everything one last time. Is this user legit? Is the ticket authentic? Yep. And click. The door swings open. Access granted. Mission accomplished. Whew. Okay, so that was the whole operation, step by step. Now, let's pull back and look at the full blueprint. This is the debriefing. And hey, for anyone out there studying this stuff, pay attention, because this is the diagram you're going to want to have burned into your brain. So here it is, the whole flow. It's really just 3 main steps, 3 exchanges. First, you talk to the authentication server to get your wristband. That's the ASR, EQ, and rep. Second, you use that wristband to talk to the ticket granting server to get your golden ticket. That's the TGS, REQ, and rep. And finally, you present that golden ticket to the file server itself to get in, the AP, REQ, and rep. Wristband, ticket, access. Simple as that. Okay, so what's the big takeaway here? Key principle number 1, and this is so important. The user's password, it never crossed the network. Not once. Think about the entire heist. Our agent never had to give away their master secret. They used it on their own computer to prove they knew it, but the password itself stayed put. It never, ever traveled. That, right there, is the absolute genius of Kerberos. And here's the second key principle, the thing that makes your life so much easier every day. That one wristband, the TGT, is good for your whole shift, right? So once you have it, you can go back to that ticket booth as many times as you want and ask for golden tickets to all sorts of places. The print server, your email, some internal website, and you never have to type your password in again. That, my friends, is single sign-on, or SSO. It all comes from this. Now, as cool as this system is, no fortress is completely impenetrable, so it's time to review the enemy intelligence. Let's talk about the threats and how we defend against them. Okay, the first and probably most famous attack is appropriately called a golden ticket attack. This is bad. This is when an attacker gets a hold of the master key to the entire kingdom, the secret key that the authentication server uses to make all the wristbands. With that, they can just forge their own all-access wristbands for anyone, for any permission level, forever. The defense? You have to rotate that master key. Change its password regularly. In fact, best practice is to change it twice in a row, just to make sure any stolen keys are totally useless. All right, next up is a nasty one called Kerberosting. Here's how it works. An attacker finds a service running on the network and asks for a ticket to access it, which is totally normal. But part of that ticket is encrypted with the password of that service account. So the attacker grabs that ticket, takes it offline, and then just throws a ton of computing power at it to try and crack the password. The defense is pretty straightforward, but crucial. Use really, really strong passwords for your service accounts. We're talking long, complex, and random. Make it so hard to crack that it just isn't worth the effort. And that really wraps up our debrief. You know, for a protocol that's about 40 years old, Kerberos is an absolute masterclass in security design. It's this beautiful, intricate dance. And it makes you think, in today's world, we're all talking about zero trust, this idea that you can't trust anyone, inside or outside your network. So what can we still learn from the Kerberos heist? Well, it teaches us that the core ideas, never trust, always verify, and use temporary credentials for specific jobs, those principles are timeless. They're just as critical today as they were when this whole thing was invented.